This season marks a new beginning. New heights will be reached. New records will be broken. A new champion will be crowned. Competition, commitment, excitement. This is Lionheart. You're watching the premier American open wheel series on iRacing. The Lionheart IndyCar Series presented by First Medical Equipment starts now.
It's play ball, the kickoff, the tip-off, the opening face-off. The first frame roll, the push of the sled, the step from the blocks, the bell for round one, the charge from the gate. It's the break, pawn to D4, shuffle up and deal, Long Beach State freshman Medina Mendez. And tonight, from Homestead-Miami Speedway, it's the First Medical Equipment 200, the opening round of 24 of the Lionheart IndyCar Season 6 campaign. From the Sunshine State, welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel and the Countdown to Green, presented by SimPit. GSRC will show you all the on-track action live as it happens, but first, as cyberspace flows into your place over these 15 streaming award-worthy minutes, we'll bring you all the storylines, all the stats and facts you'll need to appreciate all the simulated Dallara IR18 action that will immediately follow as we count down to green for the First Medical Equipment 200. And here to do all of that for this very special 100th GSRC broadcast of a Lionheart IndyCar Series event is yours truly, Bill Soups On, joined in the booth this evening by Adam Forever Young. The Doctor of Physiology, Amjad Yaman, is the director, armed with cameras provided by the Ansel Adams of iRacing, GSRC's own Dougie Beard. By now, fans of Lionheart should be pretty familiar with tonight's venue, but for new viewers, let me reintroduce my booth mate to tell you about Homestead-Miami Speedway, Adam Young.
Yeah, Soup, but before we get into that, we talk about the track, let me remind you that everything during these 15 Streamy Award-worthy minutes comes courtesy of the Countdown to Green sponsor, the Sim Pit, an entertainment channel dedicated to sim racing. Its focus is to bring you news, reviews, and information from around the world, but about sim racing hardware and software. It also focuses on what it takes to be a better sim racer with instructional video and how-tos that will help your performance on the virtual track. So check it out at thesimpit.com. And speaking of virtual tracks, let's talk about today's venue. Of course, Homestead-Miami Speedway. If you know oval track racing in the United States, you know this track. Of course, the All-Star race was here on the road course layout just a couple of weeks ago. And, well, we're back here for GSRC Lionheart broadcasting action at Homestead-Miami Speedway. This is 40 miles south in the shadow of Miami Beach at 600 acres, 1.5-mile oval. It was built in the area in 1995, of course, to help with the recovery from Hurricane Andrew, which happened in 1993. In 2003, a $12 million rebanking project transformed the track from the flat 6-degree angle to the computer-designed 18 to 20-degree angle that we have now. And if you remember, way back when the track opened in 95 and 96, it used to be kind of like almost like a mini Indianapolis with square corners. But here, we're bringing back the Lionheart IndyCar Series here this time around, and we'll have the Retro Series here coming up next week. So, Soup, with that, I think it's time to take a lap around Homestead.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global SimRacing Channel. My name is Brian Yazek and I'll be taking you for a spin around Homestead-Miami Speedway in the DW12. Coming out of pit road, you're going to have to watch the wheel spin in first gear. You're going to try to keep it flat-footed right about here at the exit of the grass. Wind it up through the gears and hopefully you get your line perfectly through here into 3 and 4, getting ready for your hot lap. Bringing it down to the bottom, right about where that bottom seam is. Swing it right out here towards the light, and now you shift up into 5th gear, and away you go. looking for a very late entry going into turn 1 here, and you're going to want to find that white line at the very bottom of the racetrack. So, coming off of turn 2, there's a bump out there that the DW12 should run low enough that it shouldn't affect, but would get interesting as the race runs on. Going through here, you have to lift just a hair just to let the car sit into 3 and 4. Once again, bring it right out here by the wall. Now as the tires start to wear out, you're going to see guys move all over this track. So you can see him run right up here up against this second seam. And the nice part about that is if you have a guy just in front of you, you can get a great draft coming down the backstretch off of the top of the track. Same situation going in here into turns 3 and 4. Kind of split the middle there, but you're still going to want to drift up towards the exit of turn 4. Bring it right up here towards the fence. Now, I did mention that Homestead has a very unique pit entrance as well as exit because you do have to take the access road. So, here's how we're going to get down the access road. Coming off of turn 2, you're going about 209, 210 miles an hour. Dive it off here to the flat part, down, down, down through the gears into about third gear is where you're going to ride this. There's no banking down here, and the car wants to try to slide out. Coming right here to the opening, downshift into first, grab your pit road speed limiter, and now you're on pit road at a safe 50 miles an hour. This was your track guide around the Homestead Speedway. My name is Brian Yazek.
Some of the 1,005 palm trees that line the back straight sure helps illustrate how fast these cars are going. Now, this is the place in the countdown to green where GSRC typically shows point standings. While the Lionheart gang has several categories they track for awards and prizes on the broadcast, GSRC is going to focus on 4 of them. They are going to be the First Medical Equipment Drivers Championship, the HPP Simulation Team Championship, the Butt Kicker Rookie of the Year, and the JC Accounting and Payroll Sim Money System Championship. But as mentioned in the opening, this is the first round, and the shadowy fancies have yet to crowd the drivers as they ponder the campaign that lies ahead in total. So, since there is nothing currently to show, we'll simply remind everyone of last season's winners. Jake Wright will not be defending his driver and Sim Money Championship, as the 3-time championship will be focusing on winning the Retro Series crown. However, back to defend the team championship is No Name Racing, albeit down a few names. As mentioned, Jake Wright is gone, as is Brian Yazek, who jumped ship to form the new to Lionheart Loud Pedal Motorsports with Brian Greeley, Woody Mahan, and David Cordy. This leaves No Name with Big Joe Hassert, Pierre Degla, and James Krahula returning, joined by Jason Galvin, formerly the G and AGR. Andrew Havakech Kinsella was the Season 5 Rookie of the Year. But all of that was then. Let's turn our attention to what's going to be coming up. And to do that, here's Adam to talk about the race details.
Yeah, and of course, these series details are going to come to us again here tonight thanks to the Sim Pit. This is going to be the 6th season. It's already 6 seasons of the Lionheart IndyCar Series. We're going to be running round 1 of 24 here tonight. Now, the car is the DW12. I believe they changed it this year to the IR18, the new Dallara that just came out. And I've got to tell you, if you haven't raced this car on iRacing yet, it looks phenomenal. Now, the setups, they are fixed, but they are custom fixed. There's a couple of slight adjustments that they've made, and the cash and prizes tonight total almost $6,500. They'll come in at $6,402 in that virtual award, Sim Money Award that Soup was talking about a few minutes ago.
The guys down in the graphic department are going to have to put in a couple dollars into the swear jar here for missing that one. Yes, we are definitely running the IR18 tonight. Now, consider the fixed setup racing league for that said Dallara IR18 on the iRacing service. The Lionheart IndyCar Series honors the memory of the late Dan Weldon. And speaking of the IR18, let's go to the setup corner to learn a little bit about tonight's weapon of choice. Adam, what do you got for us?
Yeah, and Sip, don't worry about the swear jar because I've already said that next week in the Retro Series is at Homestead. No, they were at Homestead last week. Next week's Watkins Glen. But hey, so bringing that new car out here, the IR18. It's a new car this week for the Lionheart IndyCar Series. Perfect way to kick in the 100th broadcast for GSRC for the Lionheart Series. It's mostly new, and well, you're going to see it looks actually completely different because of the different body kits built on the same chassis as the retired DW12. But that all means that the suspension, dampers, gearbox, engine, cockpit, and nose section, well, they're pretty much all the same. So what's changed? Well, most notably, you notice the protective wheel pods from behind the rear wheels. Well, they're sayonara. They're gone. The front and rear wings have been reshaped and revised, leading to new aerodynamic options. The airbox on top of the car is gone as well, and the side pods have been reshaped, giving the cars that the look of those, and I keep hearing this, and I love its perfect analogy of those late 90s, early 2000 kart Indy cars. The steering wheel is now state-of-the-art, but perhaps most important is that the underside of the car has been completely reshaped. Where the DW12 relied mostly on wings to produce downforce, the new car produces most of its downforce by the underside of the car. Gotta love ground effects downforce. So what effect will this have on the racing? Well, shifting the downforce production to the bottom of the car means that the cars are going to be affected less by that dreaded aero push. And if you've driven the DW12, you know what I'm talking about. That means the racing will be faster and closer than ever before. So look for more wheel-to-wheel action and passing throughout the race today as the Lionheart IndyCar Series enters a new era.
There you go, and we are looking forward to it. The DW12 has served this series long and well, but now we open up the new era that Adam just talked about. Qualifying is now underway. We have a new name to keep track of here today, rejoining the series after a long time, Michel Dejean. And he gets in sitting at the top of the charts. Justin Weaver, Big Joe Hazard sitting on third right now. These are all temporary as they come across.
Yeah, they do get 2 laps here, and a lot of these guys just coming across to complete their first lap. Justin Weaver here on your screen, though, coming across to complete his second lap, so we'll see what he does. I think he's going to come in with a 24.978.
Qualifying going to be very important here tonight, as I'm not sure how easy passing is going to be. Adam, you took a little bit of time you were in the car. Is this going to be a parade, or do you think we're going to get side-by-side racing? That's what's been
Well, I'll be honest with you, Soup. Here tonight, I took enough time in the car to realize how bad I was compared to some of these guys, at least the first couple laps, and trying to get used to everything, because I haven't raced at Homestead in forever. But some of the other action I've done in ovals, we kind of did a little team tests like California and things like that. The aero push definitely is not nearly as bad as it used to be. Now, it's still there. It's still a factor, but it's much more manageable. And I think that management is what's going to help a lot of that wheel-to-wheel action here tonight that I'm hoping we're going to see. If practice is any indication, we're going to be in for a pretty exciting race here tonight. Of course, now on your screen, Woody Mahan, was there just a second ago, but Robarge is another guy, too, good enough to talk about. So you started to see some of these guys come over from, you remember the Premier Racing League when they were on GSRC a lot last year. So we're starting to see some more familiar names seeping into the Lionheart Series. Of course, all these guys are familiar to us as well. But I love starting to see some new guys coming in that we know as well. So a lot of talent coming into the series for sure, Soup.
One name that is notorious to the Lionheart Series is Dandy Dan Guerin. He sits at the top of the qualifying right now. Ron Hacker moving up into second. Both of those guys have their times done as we ride on board. With Brian, it's not easy being green lane.
Yeah, and Jason Galvin coming in here third just a few minutes ago. Jason, I got to give a shout out to Jason. I've always called him my fellow newsman because of him working out in Bakersfield and news and all that. But he just announced that he's going to be going through a career change. It's really exciting for him, so I just want to wish the best of luck to Jason.
Likewise, as do we here, everybody at GSRC. Qualifying is just about done, as the drivers will soon be called to the HPP starting grid, so this race could get underway. And when it is time to go sim racing, nothing beats the feel of a true hydraulic braking system from HPP Simulations. Designed and manufactured in the USA on state-of-the-art CNC equipment, HPP hydraulic pedals and their accessories set the standard for simulation racing. For more information, please visit, you know where to go, hppsimulation.com. And we have 41 names here today, 43 drivers actually in the service. 41 were able to put in qualifying times.
Look at Pierre down there sitting in 7th on the grid. Didn't even put in a practice time. Came in, showed up, and put the car in 7th.
Oh, Pierre Nightingale, what a great run from him. Okay, qualifying is done. I believe we can probably go to our HPP starting grid right now. And here on the front row, it is Dandy Dan Guerin, like we talked about. And then Adam, after that, Brian Yazik.
Yeah, row 2 is going to belong to Ron Hacker and Jason Galvin.
Mahan and Jason Robarge fill up row 3.
Pierre Daigle and Ian Adams who make up row 4.
Michael Goodman in 9th, flanked by Tony Schowen.
Yeah, good old Tony Schowen. We'll be looking for him a lot in the Retro Series, hopefully this year. Row 6 is going to go to Ken Hacker, and on the outside, series organizer George Zaldo.
In the Baker's Dozen spot, it's Mitchell Moeller. Outside of him, Peter Edwins.
Inside of row 8, Saya Dupre and James Grahula starting in 16th position, the outside of row 8.
Welcome back to the series. Joe Flanagan in the 17th position, flanked by Joe Branch.
Row 10 is going to belong to Andrew Kinsella. And I'm sorry, Soup, I don't see this guy very often on my end. I know you know his real name. Who is racing Kangaroo Gray?
That would be Michael Gray, down from down under there. They put him on there. Michael Gray, the racing kangaroo. Hitting blackjack is Dustin Wardlow. Catching 22. Brian, is not easy being Greenlee.
All right, Chris Lanini starting inside of row 12. Outside of him is going to be Jack Bogan.
Then it's Bob Mikas from Van Hansen's Meat and Chris Stouffer in 26th.
Yeah, row 14 is going to be David Corti and Scott Johnson.
Ed King Tutwiler and Matthew Mercer in row 15.
Another couple of guys I'm going to be seeing in my Retro Series here in the next couple of weeks. Row 16, Big Joe Hassert. And alongside him is going to be Brandon Limpkinen.
New to the series, Dylan McKenna in the 33rd spot. He's going to be inside of veteran Vincent Bluthenthal.
And you're going to be able to spot Dylan's car from a mile away. Trust me, we'll show it here in a little bit. Alan Blocker in row 18. Alongside him, going to be the Skull Bandit tonight, Scott Bolster.
37th and 38th, Michelle DeJong and Bart Workman.
Justin Weaver and Robert Blue are going to be making up row 20.
Brian Beard and GSRC's own Samuel Ryman back in 42nd position. Rory Collins not able to put in a qualifying time, but the car is out there. It is a full field. There were only 43 spots available. All 43 cars took the field. There are 44 drivers on the entry list. George and Zaldo kindly decided to sit this one out so everybody could race. My gosh. Let's talk about our onboard cameras. First up is Brian Limpkeman. Oh, it's Brandon Limpkeman there. Let's see. Bob Mikas racing in the Von Hansen's Meat Machine car. And Ed King Tutwiler in the First Medical Equipment onboard camera. Our featured driver that we're going to watch today, I believe, is going to be Andrew Kinsella. We'll talk more about that one as we go along. But right now, we're going to be looking to get the season underway. Gather up the chickens, take cover behind the cows because the horses are out of the barn. And it is Dandy Dan Guerin leading the stampede down into the first corner. Tucking in behind, it's Ron Hacker. Jason Galvin making a run on the outside of Hacker for third. Jason Robarge in the familiar rainbow-colored car. Good to see he got that back on the IR-18. And rounding out your top five, Brian Yazik.
Well, you know, and this is one thing you're gonna, if you notice anything about these drafty cars, a lot like stock cars and restrictor plates. If you're more familiar with that, and just maybe watching Lionheart here for the first time, it's a lot like that where you don't want to get that big lead right away. Dan Guerin able to hold on to the lead, but you saw how that field sucked right back up to the back room. Soup, already a lot of side-by-side action.
Yeah, my goodness, it's been clean the first lap. There's a little bit of a break from 27th Matthew Mercer back to another group of cars. Let me correct myself. 26th is Scott Johnson. That's where the break is. But right now, two groups of cars, a lot of side-by-side racing. Up front, it is still the same leader that we've had, Dan Guerin.
Yeah, going back just a couple of spots, you talked about Jason Robarge and that old Rainbow Warriors machine, the 79 IR-18 out there. He seemed like he was right stuck in the middle of that pack. He was 3 wide for a couple minutes and wisely backed out of it. But I think you're going to find a lot of guys in that type of situation. The question's going to be, as we get closer to the end of this race here tonight, how are guys going to handle that? Are they going to try to make that stick? And how well do these cars do 3 wide? That's going to be a little bit of an unknown here tonight as well.
Just ahead of those guys, swapping position has been Brian Yazik and Jason Galvin. They go back and forth. This time it looks like it's going to be Galvin leading the duet to the start-finish line. Galvin gets credit with third. But Yazik in fourth in that brightly colored HPP machine with a run on the top side. You can see him right there. That's Galvin on the inside. Yazik on the top side. They come around four. Looks like Galvin is going to have the advantage. We talked about the front five. Let's talk about the back half. It's Ian Adams in sixth. Pierre Degla in seventh. Woody Mahan in eighth. And then a battle back there for ninth and 10th. In the yellow car, that's James Grahula and Michael Goodman.
Well, I got to say, Soup, you know, we talked about the quality of racing and everything else and what kind of side-by-side action we're going to see. I waited until lap 6 in order to start seeing a lot of these guys get single file. As soon as they got single file, we see guys pop right back out. So that's already an improvement over last year's car.
As they work lap number 7. Let's tell you about the race analysis that is brought to you courtesy of Lock Precision Rocketry. What are we doing today? Well, we're going 133 laps. Fuel tank, the fuel stint is about 40 laps, and we have a yellow flag. It looks like it was the racing kangaroo, Michael Gray, put it in the wall, then the car spun around. Oh, my. Look at the replay, and then he almost got into somebody. See if we can figure out who this is at the back.
That's just a fantastic job having something like that happen in the middle of the field. It's a single car incident. And also, that's about as close as you're going to get to turning one of these things over without actually going over.
Maybe we can look at it one more time if we can from David Cordy. Boy, my goodness, he has plenty of time to see it. We ride on board with David right now. You be the driver. You're watching at home. You pick a lane. Go high or go low. There's the car spinning. And he goes low and just gets around him.
We're going to have a couple of takers on pit road here, it looks like, including Yazik coming in from 4th position. James Grahula coming in from 9th. Michael Goodman coming in from 11th, and then numerous cars back behind him. So pit road going to get busy here.
You got to wonder if this is brought on from the tires, perhaps. That this get this sorted out. This come on in, get some fresh. I guess if you're back of the back, it really doesn't matter. This yellow flag is brought to you. Who sponsors a yellow flag? Well, Butt Kicker does, because if you go in the wall, you want your butt kicked. Let me tell you about them. Butt Kicker products add instant immersion to any game. Unlike subwoofers that move air, that doesn't sound very good. You know, that loses accuracy and force. Butt Kicker products move actual mass, producing a haptic immersion that's powerful and accurate. Butt Kicker products add that missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism and immersion to your session. See all the family of products at, now you got to use the article, this is important, thebuttkicker.com. And this is even more important, use the promo code 20Lion to get 20% off your order. There you have it.
Hey, Soup, one thing that we haven't been able to talk about, of course, it kind of slipped underneath the radar, but Peter Edwins had some connectivity issues right before the green flag, and he missed the start. He is out there now, but he is 6 laps down in 43rd. He was scheduled to start 14th on the grid, so unfortunately for that Area 51 driver, not a good way to start the season, and he's just going to try to pick off the guys that have trouble here tonight.
Well, if you race for a racing team called Area 51, there's any number that the imagination starts to run wild of what could happen to him.
Do we have the X-Files theme handy? That would be perfect.
The truth is out there, baby.
Director Amjad, do we got that? No, I'm going to guess we don't. Probably not. Probably some sort of copyright thing.
Yeah, I think we have it. We just can't afford it, I think is what the rule is. Okay, let's talk about who's sitting up front. It is Dan Galvin. I'm sorry, Dan Guerin, I apologize. Ron Hacker, Jason Galvin, Ian Adams, and Jason Robarge. Who are the leaders of the guys who pitted? Well, we talked about Brian Yosick battling. Remember, he was up there battling with Galvin. Well, once again, Brian Yosek, the man who takes the road less traveled, he decides to come in. How about some names down there of people who took that pit stop? Brian Yosek, James Krahula, Michael Goodman. These are real drivers here. Tony Schowen, Joe Branch, Andrew Havakech Kinsella. All names to remember. They're going to be on a different pit strategy. And now we have the pleasure of having a driver that has some real-world IndyCar experience, the one and only Richie Hearn. Richie, what do you got for us? Whoops. Hang on. Oh. We got Richie. We didn't have his mic working there. We'll come back to Richie in a minute. I'm honestly awestruck that we have a real-world driver in here. Richie Hearn, my mom passed away several years ago, but in 1996, our Zahn family has an Indy pool every year. We pull names out of the hat. I can still remember my mom saying, "Who is Richie Hearn?" Well, Mom, he was a rookie, went on to finish third and win you $110 that year. Richie Hearn's a rookie in 1996. Did not win Rookie of the Year that year, as that went to Tony Stewart. And now the pace car is in. We're still waiting. Do we have Richie, or we're going to get him next time? We'll come back. We're going to come back to green. Okay, the lights are off the pace car. Adam, here we go. Let's see if we can get a long run in here. Half the cars took tires.
And I think that's what guys like Yazek are counting on, is those tires.
All right, let's get the second green flag run underway. Dan Guerin with a good run. Ron Hacker right behind him. They opened up a little bit of a gap on Ian Adams, Jason Galvin, and Jason Robard. So let's see, where is Brian Yosef right now? Well, he races back in 18th position. He's on new rubber. First up for him is Ed King Tutwiler in 17th. We'll monitor the drivers up front. You can see Yosek there in that fluorescent blue machine making a move. We'll watch the drivers up front, and then we'll watch Yosek's climb through the field.
And that restart really spread out that field here. And, oh, contact going back to 4th and 5th.
It was Rabarge. Boy, he got, I think, did a yellow flag come out? I guess not. Did Pierre Degla got into it? The yellow flag comes out. Pierre Neiden-Degla was on the inside. He drifts up, Adam. And Rabarge spins the car.
Yeah, you know, and it just shot him. More contact in the rear, I think, is probably what shot him sideways like that. I think he brushed the wall just a little bit, but another good job by the rest of the field missing him, and only really ultimately one car being involved in an accident here.
Boy, the car came across the track. How everyone missed him, I don't know. The car rolled right across the track. The guy who had the closest call was Dustin Wardlow. My goodness.
And that's going to be another slight question mark with some of these cars. Now, we do know, of course, as we talked about in the pre-race show, that they used a lot of the same components as the DW12 in these Indy cars, from the DW12 to the IR18, including the suspension components. However, you know, anytime you make a new car in iRacing, the resiliency of it kind of changes. So will Robarge be able to repair that damage, or is he going to be done for the night? I'm going to be very interested to see how Robarge handles that here.
Let's see if we can try one more time to get Richie Hearn here, if we have his mic hot. I think he knows a little bit about the tires. Richie, let's see if our director has you hot here in the mic. Nope, still don't have him. That's too bad. What Richie was going to tell us he put a little note in here. I can read it now. This translate for you. From his Bakerstone English to my Long Beach English. It's not that far away. We speak the same language. Tires are king, and they'll go a long way on a green, so fuel will be key too.
You know, Soup, we talk about all the time as far that the Lionheart Series has probably some of the most talented drivers in all of series of all of iRacing, you know, between this series and the Retro Series. But even with a 43 car field in Indy cars, you're going to be expecting a lot of these early accidents. And I really think maybe the first, 30, 35 laps, we're going to keep seeing maybe one or two more yellows. But then that's going to be when we start to see those long green flag runs, and that's going to be when that's really going to play a role. It's going to be very interesting to see.
Yeah, and you got to figure some of these guys are still getting used to actually racing this car. This is the first race in the new car. Still have to get the feel of it on this 100th broadcast of a Lionheart event. It is season 6, round number 1 of 24 here from the traditional opening venue of the Lionheart Series, both in the Retro 79 cars and here in the Indy cars, Homestead-Miami Speedway. Familiar names up front, Dan Guerin, Ron Hacker. They didn't give much of a run in there. Brian Yazik started in 17th position. We talked about him. Well, he's up just 2 spots, that green flag run, now up to 15th. Lights are on the pace car. A beautiful day. Let's take a look at the weather. Don't know if we had time to talk about that. Let's see how the two-dimensional fans are going to be dressed here today. Oh, a very pleasant day for Miami. 75 degrees Fahrenheit, 96 on the track. Should be plenty of grip out there. 80% humidity. Actually, that's a little low for Florida. And no fog. You can see those clouds that hang in the background. A little bit of cloud cover, keeping the temperature down. So if you're one of those two-dimensional fans and you came to the racetrack, you can shed a layer of clothing there. It's a pleasant day to watch some sim racing.
That sounds about right for Miami this time of year.
This yellow flag brought to you thanks to a new sponsor, Viva Motorsports. Who are they? They're specializing in motorsports-inspired items ranging from custom-etched glasses, track decals, and more. Everything is designed with the motorsports enthusiast in mind, crafted with care and love through all of its stages of production. If you're looking for a perfect gift for someone who's passionate about motorsports, visit Viva Motorsports shop today at, you guessed it, vivamotorsports.etsy. I don't really know what that means, .com. And remember, when you're ordering, use the promo code Lionheart for 10% off your order. I guess it's Etsy's.com. All right. The pace car is in. My plug is red. Let's go green for the 3rd time. Chug-a-lug, makes you want to holler, hi-da-ho. And it is Dandy Dan Guerin leading the field down into the first corner, chased by Ron Hacker, Ian Adams, Jason Galvin, and Pierre Degla.
Well, look at that run Galvin's getting here. Or, excuse me, Ian Adams
got one.
He's going to go ahead and go 3 wide to take it going into 3.
A double scoop for Ian Adams.
Just a little bit high, though. Dan Guerin able to get somewhat of a good run on him. He's going to try to come back here going down the front straight.
He might get him in corner 1, but Adams gets credit for leading the lap. It is Guerin, Adams, and now Ron Hacker. Oh, they're starting to do a little more dancing up front. Ron Hacker looking to see what he can do on the inside line. Jason Galvin back there watching the show in front. In 4th, Pierre Degla, after making contact, still doing okay back in 5th. They race in staggered position up ahead. Adam, I've heard you. Boy, look at how close they were. I've heard you talk about this before, but look how they kind of fan out when they go into the corner, almost trying to get some clean air on the nose, I think.
Yeah, you know, and we talk about the arrow push being better, but it's still there. I mean, anytime you can get some clean air on that nose, it's going to help you out a ton. And I think you were seeing that just a second ago. Ian Adams, he chose the outside, got really close to that wall on entry to 3 the last time by. But now I think Dan Guerin kind of saw what he was trying to do. He's trying to keep his car, I think, more in front right now of Ian Adams' vehicle in order to try to help keep the air off his front end and maybe try to get a little bit more of a run on him coming out of the corner.
Let's go back to 6th position, where I have to quote Mark Twain and say, reports of George Anzaldo's death have been greatly exaggerated. I did not know that George was here today. I saw the 43-car field. I assumed that George had to sit out, but no. He was able to qualify 12th and is now racing in 6th. That's good news for the series organizer. Would have been a shame if he couldn't race in the opening race. He's being chased by Ken Hacker.
Ooh, I don't know if Jason got loose or tight up here in third, but he had a run underneath Ian Adams and then just had to back out of it. It looks like he's going to try again here going into 3. Soup, it really looks like that middle to high line is almost the preferred way around here today.
Be interesting to see as we race for 133 laps if the track will change much, if the rubber will get laid down and that opening line, that opening lane will, the inside lane will work better. Guerin, Adams, Hacker being challenged by Galvin and Degla.
Yeah, if you also want some good driving, come back here to just outside the top 10 with Brian Greeley, Brian Yazik, and Dylan McKenna. And just as I say that, it breaks apart a little bit, but they were 3 wide a minute ago.
Well, Yazik is the leader of the guy on fresh tires. Just ahead of him is that battle with Bob Micas. Just got ahead of the Candyman, Dustin Wardlow. We ride on board on the Von Hansen meat machine of Micas. Looking back at the Candyman, Dustin Wardlow. And you can see in the very back, the car right behind Wardlow, that would be Brian Yazik. And now, side by side, up ahead, this is Bob Micas as he gets underneath Mitchell Moeller. Go.
And Dylan McKenna, he keeps going down to that white line. He's tempting fate. Every time he's done it, that back end's been wanting to come around on him. And now, finally, I think he's had enough of that. It's going to kind of come up a little bit. Oh, by the way, if you missed the pre-race show, I talked about how colorful his car. I knew we'd show it at some point. His Retro Series car last year and his Indy car this year is looking even better. I just love that colorful paint scheme. It's like somebody just threw a bunch of paint at it and said, here you go.
Funky Fresh is the sponsor of that car. I like that one because any color I call it, I'll get it right.
That's right. Probably not the car you want to have if you're colorblind.
Or if you're hiding from the police on the freeway. Battle for the lead. Guerin fending off Ian Adams. Adams with a run down into 3, just tucking in behind. They've opened up a little bit of a gap now. It's almost a second. Back to Ron Hacker in 3rd.
And I've been watching Ron Hacker a little bit here lately. It really looks like right now he's trying to find a line that works and that he's comfortable with. And I think in the process of that, that's when he really opened up the gap on 1st and 2nd. And I think you're starting to see some more guys back there trying to do that. So Richie was right. I mean, it might be all about tires for some of these guys in the older tires, trying to figure out what they need to do to kind of keep them at least some life in them right now.
Well, speaking of tires, let's go back to 11th. Here's the guy who's making a run. This is Brian Yazik. He's leader of all the cars that took that last pit stop. He's working on Mitchell Moeller right now, trying to get up into the top 10. This is lap 30 for the cars that stayed out. They're going to need to come in. Now, mind you, there's been 2 yellow flags, so they can probably go a little farther than the 40 laps. That is the maximum fuel stint, but they'll be coming in, I'm going to have to guess here, in the next 15 laps. And there goes Yazik underneath. There we go. Now we got it. The light blue car, the fluorescent car of Yazik. Kind of my fault, director. I was calling something. I wasn't watching my monitor. Usually the director and I have this kind of ESP relationship where we can read each other's minds. Sometimes I do have to look at the monitor. Yazik not able to get that pass made. He's going to have to stay back behind Moeller. Talk a little bit about Mitchell Moeller. He's kind of intricate to this series this year. Mitchell is the owner of Wild Child Designs, and they provide all the logos for this season. So when you see one of those cool logos, it's courtesy of Mitchell Moeller and the guys at his company. Thanks, Mitchell.
I don't know if he touched it hard enough to do anything to the car, but Ian Adams got into the wall going into 3 last time by. Just barely grazed it, but he's tempting fate trying to go to that high side going into 3.
Boy, he has been working on Dan Guerin. Cannot get around him. The good news is they continue to open it up on Ron Hacker, now over a second behind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all just kind of racing by themselves. Nice little battle for 6. Let's look at George Anzaldo. This is Ron Hacker. I'm sorry, Ken Hacker. trying to make a move on Anzaldo. Anzaldo's been in 6th since we noted that he was actually in the race. We ride looking over the left front suspension of Ken Hacker. That battle
Beard always
continues.
just does such amazing cameras, doesn't he, Sue?
Oh, yes, it is fun. We look at that battle. It continues, and is Ken finally going to get the spot? He's going to be able to close the door, I think. And if we'll drop back now that that's done, let's drop back 4 positions to Brian Yosik in 10th. We can report that he finally was able to get around a couple more drivers. Why do we care so much about Brian Yosik? Well, I think he's going to be your leader here in about the next 7 or 8 laps. He's on the same fuel stint as Tony Schowen, who is right behind him in 11th. So look for those guys to be racing 1st and 2nd in just a few minutes, unless we get a yellow.
Oh, I think that might be a little bit optimistic, but it won't be if the leaders keep racing the way they do. Move the Ian Adams to the P1.
Well, for a moment.
Oh, Dan Garrett back on the outside. Look at that outside line trying to come in. I got to tell you, you might have to try to take your chances on the outside and really make a move and make it stick.
My goodness, Ian Adam could have held his breath longer than he held the lead, but he's got another run. Let's see if he's going to dive to the inside. Dan Guerin protecting the outside like a park ranger. Now he dips down, but the momentum has already been broken for Adams.
Now, Soup, the Lionheart folks, they sent us over a list of the closest finishes in Lionheart history, and it really surprised me how far down that list Homestead was. As we're looking at Dan Guerin, a couple of guys making green flag pit stops, including Dan Guerin, Ron Hacker, Jason Galvin, and Pierre Daigle all coming down pit road. What I was getting ready to say, Soup, is that might change here today. We might see closest finish on Homestead, maybe getting into the top 10 on that list.
Yeah, from the way it looked like the run off of 4, it's going to be really a close drag down to the finish line come the last lap. So the big names coming in as they fall back. And as expected, that's going to move Brian Yosik now up into 6th position. And our leaders, Ian Adams, would look for Adams, Hacker, and Zaldo, Mikas, and Wardlow to come in next lap. In fact, here comes Adams. So
That's
Hacker goes around.
Yeah, it's going to move Ken Hacker into P1 and George Anzaldo into P2 here for at least a moment. Bob Mikas in 3rd. Dustin Wardlow now in 4th position. And there's Yosik now moving into 5th.
Adams is in. Let's go ahead and see if we can pick up Guerin. Guerin just coming out of 4 right now. Remember, he was racing with Adams. So Guerin going into 1. Adams is rolling down. I believe that's Adams that he's just blowing by. Yes. Guerin.
Oh, caution in the back. Somewhere on the back straightaway, I see some smoke down there.
It was the yellow car of James Kerhula. Chris Stouffer just got into the back of him. Turned him once, turned him twice. So what, as we look at that, what does that mean to the drivers that just pitted? How many laps did they get put down? I think only 1. But this is interesting. This is going to be great news for Matthew Mercer. No, I guess not, because Mercer's going to have to come into pit. Those drivers are 1 lap down. They'll get the wave around, but they're going to be way at the back now.
I got to looking at both those cars there, Soup, and I think actually Chris Stouffer got the worst end of that deal as far as damage. So he's got some pretty significant front end damage and maybe a suspension tweaked as well.
So everybody's going to have to come in. This is great news for Ken Hacker, George Anzaldo, those guys who are up front. Dustin Wardlow, Bob Mikas, those guys had yet to pit. They're going to get to come in and pit in yellow. They should cycle out near the front. The guys like Brian Yosik, who pitted last time, well, they've been out too long. They're going to have to come in as well. So who stays out? Well, it's those guys that just had made their stops early. Ian Adams, Jason Galvin, Ron Hacker, Pierre Daigle. They'll all stay out. and they'll pull in right behind the pace car. Then when the guys come out of the pits, they'll cycle in right behind them. The guys, those 4 guys that I just mentioned, will get the wave around, but they'll be at the back of the pack and heck on basically the same tires as the guys that just stopped. So did not work. What we're going to do right now, since I've explained all of that on the Global Sim Racing Channel, let's go to a quick break. Don't worry, we'll be back before we go green. Back in a few.
The Sim Pit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The Sim Pit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for The Sim Pit.
You're looking at Ken Hacker. He leads the first medical equipment 200 from Homestead-Miami, the 100th GSRC broadcast of a Lionheart IndyCar Series event. He is working lap 47, and fuel strategy has him up in front. George Anzaldo racing in third. Brian Yazik, who did the alternate strategy, pitted. He's going to be in third, but it really worked out great for Ken Hacker and George Anzaldo as they have made one less pit stop than everybody else, but are on the same strategy now as it all comes out in the wash.
How about George Anzaldo? When was the last time we could say he was second in one of these things?
The pace car peels, and so does the thunder of the engines as Ken Hacker leads the string of cars across the start-finish line, working lap number 48. Absolutely, I agree with Adam Young. Ken Hacker and George Anzaldo. George wants a little taste of the lead with a great run off of 2. Anzaldo to the front with dominance. Coming around, George Anzaldo gets credit with leading the lap, but enough of that. Brian Yazik gets around Anzaldo and Hacker. Yazik now out in front. Let's stay on this battle. Anzaldo fights back through 3. He now noses that Lionheart machine out in front. But here comes the HBP car of Yazik. Anzaldo gets credit with leading the lap. Yazik is first into quarter 1. Ken Hacker back in the back. Butter on his fingers, watching from the popcorn position as Anzaldo dives down one more time. Are they racing or are they dancing? There's a close cross across the line. separated by 1/1000th of a second. Brian Yazek gets credit with leading the lap. Dustin Wardlow in 5th. In 4th. Tony Schowen in 5th. Have a Catch Kinsella now makes the move as Andrew gets up to 5th, getting around Tony Schowen. Let's round out the rest of your top 10. Bob Mikas. Oh, really on the top side was Bob, but he makes it stick. Dylan McKenna, the rookie. He's about to lose a position. Let me correct myself. That's Mikas back there in 8th. There's McKenna in that multicolored car. How could I miss that one? He's going to get that spot.
That's one thing that I've talked about McKenna a couple of times tonight, but he really started to come on strong at the end of the Retro Series last year in that Lotus 79. I'm really glad to see him move up and compete in the Indy cars this year. Be looking for him to, and he's in the top 10 now, be looking for him to be in the top 10 quite a bit this year.
Always great to get some new blood into the series. And of course, the Retro Series that Adam was talking about, that's the sister series, runs on Thursday nights. Check it out here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Everybody on the same pit strategy. Maybe we better check in on the man who was fast. That's Dandy Dan Guerin, back in what I'm seeing as 27th position. Is that right? How about 28th? Unlike Yazek before him, who was racing up front but came in and had the advantage of new tires, everybody now, Adam, on the same level playing field, or level racetrack, I guess, if I want to stay in the right sport.
Yeah, now it's just going to be a matter of how some of these guys are able to cope with traffic and dirty air and everything else. And, well, I mean, we're going to have to watch and see. We know Dan Guerin has one of the fastest cars out there, but is he going to be able to handle the traffic the way he needs to?
Going to ride on board with Brandon Lipkeman. He's looking up. He's got Isaiah Dupree up in front of him and Big Joe Hassard in front of that. Racing back in 14th position. Now we pull away as they come across the line. See Brandon in 14th. How about a nice charge, though, from him? Started in 32nd. Well, talking hard charger. Who might be the hard charger, you're asking? Well, how about the driver in 8th position? Dylan McKenna in the multicolored splash of paint machine. He qualified in 33rd, racing in 8th.
Andrew Kinsella up here right now making a good play for 3rd. Really had a good inside look at George Zaldo. They're going to try again going through 3 and 4. He's going to see if he's going to be able to make it stick this time. Drifts a little bit high. He's not able to get that good run out of the corner, so George is going to get that nice long front straightaway, be able to pull away just a touch. But Andrew Kinsella definitely working that bottom side right now. The problem, Soup, working that bottom side, you're probably going to use the tires up a little bit faster.
And if you remember, that's what Anzaldo was doing with Yazek early on. Remember that Ken Hacker was watching all of that. We talked about him being in the popcorn position. Well, he's fallen back now to 5th position as Dustin Wardlow has got around him, as has Andrew Have-A-Catch Kinsella. There's Ken, still having a good run. Up 6 spots from his 11th qualifying position. Let's go up to 2nd place. This is Kinsella one more time, ducking down underneath, trying to get a look at this. Andrew Kinsella getting a lot of screen time here on the Global Sim Racing Channel as he races in this series. He also shows up in the Lionheart Retro Series on Thursday nights that I've talked about, and he also shows up on, I think it's Saturdays, for the absolute beginner. They have an IndyCar series as well that uses open setups. We see Andrew doing very well in the points down there. 3 of the 15 series currently being broadcast here on the Global Sim Racing Channel.
You know, if I'm Andrew right now, I'm just going to try to ride right behind George Anzaldo. just to kind of cool down the tires. He's been really working that bottom lane for the last, I don't know, probably about 6-7 laps. Just as I said, he's going to charge underneath again. He's going to be able to clear him this time, though. Oh, no, he can't. George Anzaldo still gets that big run, but they're going to be side by side, a little bit deeper going down the back straightaway. But those tires got to be getting to the point where they're getting a little angry at him.
Just trying to make that low side work. And again, the momentum from the top gives Anzaldo credit for leading the lap. Kinsella keeps trying to get down there. I think, Adam, that Kinsella thinks I'm faster. If I could just clear him, I got a chance to run down Yazik.
Well, I mean, he's got to think about doing that soon then, because Yazik right now is marching away over a second lead right now, over a second lead, almost a second and a half over George Anzaldo.
Yeah, and all that nonsense is bringing Dustin Wardlow into the picture now, back in 4th position. Again, Kinsella tries one more time, cannot do it. It almost works. Behind them in 6th, we don't need to go there. I'll just tell Stouffer, Schowen, and McKenna. McKenna, again, the man to watch. Started 33 in that multicolored car. Let's look at it now. I think McKenna's got a shot as he's going to try to make a move on Tony Schowen, kind of peek in there. Not going to do it. Adam, this is really bad news for Dandy Dan Guerin, who was our fastest car on the track, still laboring back in 24th. Passing now so difficult.
It really is. I mean, we know that, keep talking about the aero push. We know it's better than it used to be, but it is still there. That means dirty air definitely plays a role, and you're seeing the kind of effects right now that that can have if you get mired in the middle of the pack. So I think one thing you'll see, and Richie Hearn brought it up earlier to us about the fuel strategy and the tire strategy and everything, but track position is going to be so important. You do not want to get stuck back where Dan Guerin is right now.
Actually, let's move up a couple positions to 21st, because Ian Adams, remember, who was racing with Guerin when they came out of the pits, Adams is able to get around Guerin, and now finally Guerin finally clears Joe Flanagan back there in 23rd. So now let's keep an eye on Ian Adams and Dan Guerin, 21st and 22nd, as they try to race to the front of the field.
And Sue going back up toward the front also. I mean, watching Dan Guerin make that move, but Dustin Wardlow now finds himself on the inside of Andrew Kinsella, and he's going to be able to clear him here going into 3 if he just comes up the track, tries to get that run. And it said Andrew Kinsella is going to get that big run, but he did take 3rd for the lap. Now a 3-car battle going on here for 2nd place is Dustin Wardlow almost had a wheel inside of George Anzaldo there.
Kinsella gets a move. We'll try Richie Hearn one more time. Richie, you've been watching back there, Brian Yazik. What's your take on what's going on back there?
Yeah, I mean, just having that clear track, he's really cleared those guys out. He's able to run from the top to the bottom up, and it's really saving his tires. And like I said, tires are going to be key because you can't make that pass if your tires are worn out. So it's his strategy's playing out really well.
We look at that. Let's go up as our director now. We got to go up front again. The battle up front is so intense. And when I say up front, I mean behind Brian Yazik, who has no clue about what's going on 2.2 seconds behind him right now. And Zaldo, Wardlow on the inside. On the top side is Kinsella. Hacker was up there. He's fallen back a little bit. Kinsella, still try as he might, has not been able to get around Anzaldo.
I'm riding on board Kinsella on my own machine here right now, and he had to way back out of the gas right there to avoid getting into the back of George Anzaldo. And George just did not have a good corner. He's got a good corner now. Look at that as he charges on Dustin Wardlow.
Oh, Wardlow worked so hard to get around Kinsella, and Anzaldo gives it all back up. What a run from Anzaldo. Boy, look at George. Protect the outside enough that you can't get between him and the wall. Now ducking down low. We're going to stay on this a little bit longer. That's Kinsella.
And that is Ken Hacker that is caught back up to this pack with this Titus Racing. And Tony's back there as well. So that 31 car lurking back there right now in 6th position, just kind of waiting for something to happen.
We know there are other cars out on track. We will get to them, but right now, just as this is too intense. And all of this is just letting Brian Yazik just run away now, 2.5 seconds up.
Yeah, if I know Yazik right now, he's probably up there. You know, he switched his water over to be beer, so he's just relaxing, just sitting back, relaxing, doing laps right now, and loving what he's seen in the rearview mirror.
They race in formation across the start-finish line. Saw a little bit of a blink there for Kinsella. Working lap 76. They've been out there for 31 laps.
And Soup, that's going to bring up the next question. When we saw those guys make green flag pit stops, and that was even with a few cautions, they did it on lap 40. Now, were they playing maybe some sort of backwards strategy or something like that? Don't know for sure. But what I do know is that we could be talking about green flag pit stops here in a couple of laps with these guys running this close.
Let's go ahead and look at one of our profile drivers here today. It is Andrew Have-A-Catch Kinsella. We don't want to press our luck. Let's make sure we get this on while he's still out there racing right now in 2nd position. Oh, I guess we'll wait for director then. Oh, we're going to wait till we'll do it on the pit stop. Sorry, okay. Misread my notes there. So we're going to, Andrew, we're not going to go to the profile yet, so be careful. Adam, let's look at P8. Nice battle going on there.
Yeah, right now, looking at Big Joe Hassert trying to make that move on the inside. Christopher on the outside. Joe Hassert slides right up in front of Christopher and tries to slow him down. Christopher, of course, new front wing on that car after some contact earlier on with James Krahula. And looks like Yazik going to be the first taker coming down pit road.
Oh, my goodness. On lap 35 of his stint, he pits from the front.
This would sound about right because, you know, that first stint, they didn't have any kind of caution. I mean, they had plenty of caution laps. This time around, not so many. So a couple guys coming in behind him as well. David Cordy, I see back there. David Cordy actually misses his pit stall, and he's got a little bit of problems. Scott Johnson coming in as well. So a couple takers. Yazik now back out on track, taking that front access road.
Yazik coming in early like this, he risks the same thing happening to him that happened to Ian Adams and Dan Guerin to be caught out on the yellow flag. Right there, Yazik needs it to stay green. Kinsella going around again, 37 laps on the stint.
And right there, I mean, that could have been a problem right there with Yazik as he's coming out and getting up to speed. You had a car, I think it was Vincent Blumenthal, that actually came down, hit that access road, but he slid right in front of Yazik to do it.
Now, you're not able, even from the lead, he had a 2-second lead, you are not able to make a stop and stay on the lead lap. Pitting just in front of Yazik now, they come in a few more cars. Micus is in, Justin Weaver, Flanagan, Blocker coming in.
And so we should explain why that is as far as the length of the pit stop, well, pit road here. Under green flag conditions, you have to use, in fact, I think under yellow flag conditions as well, you have to use both the front side and back side of the access road, and that just takes a lot of time.
All right, Kinsella is in. There's our overlay for Andrew Have-A-Catch Kinsella. You see him racing for Adrenaline Racing. Career starts 23. He was our Rookie of the Year last season. His first race, of course, since he was a rookie, was at Homestead right here last year. And guess what? He won that race. Get the video up on top, and now he comes out. Let's see where he cycles out in relationship to Yazik. Kinsella out there right now. Where is Brian Yazik? Yazik well out in front of him. A 1.8. Yazik Racing now in what we're going to call 11th position. Still waiting for the pit cycle to complete. Waiting for some of these drivers who still need to come in. Shawan, Goodman, De Jong. Shawan's just coming in now. He is our leader.
I have to think that those guys are right at the edge of their fuel limit also, so that's going to be a mark to watch for, 41, 42 laps.
Richie, what do you know about Tony Shawan? Oh, we lost Richie one more time. Shawan in now. Goodman, De Jong. We're getting reports that Shawan missed his pit lane the first time down, so this is going to cost him. I guess it's making another stop through.
And we can move Brian Yazik back into P1. Big lead right now over top of Andrew Kinsella.
Brian rolled the dice, was able to come in early. Honestly, about 4 laps earlier than the rest of these guys. The yellow did not come out. He now sits in front by about a second over Kinsella. Big losers as far as at least track position goes. Dustin Wardlow. Go ahead.
Soup, I just said that like a big lead, but I guess I missed the fact that Andrew was only about a second back behind him. That means that Andrew Kinsella gained about 3 seconds on that pit cycle, based on how far off they had fallen off Yazik. He's practically right back underneath his rear wing compared to where he was a minute ago.
Honestly, though, Adam, I think you were right the first time. It was a pretty big lead because Kinsella is coming. He's really knocking off time, closing the gap like David Letterman's dentist right now on Brian Yazik.
and you just said that because, he's part owner of a team and everything, right?
That's right, yeah.
Okay. Just making sure.
Tie in my cliches with racing whenever I can. Now, here's a guy who had a big gain in the pit cycle. His 3rd position, Chris Stouffer. Dustin Wardlow, remember, was up there racing. He's back to 4th. Joe Branch in 5th. I hear Woody Mahan saying something. My bad. Not sure what he did.
Something about apologizing to Bob.
Wait a minute. Oh, Woody Mahan, let's get it, director. It just happened. I think he got into Bob Micus in the Von Hansen meat machine. No yellow flag because he spins off the racing line and Micus has to come in. Here we go. That's just the tail end of it.
Oh, and that car now looks like it's been through a meat grinder. And while that was happening, at least Brian Yazik was able to get around James Krahula, who was in front of him, so he's back in clean air. We'll see what kind of time he can get back on Kinsella here.
Going to go one more time on board the Von Hansen meat machine of Bob Micus. He gets squeezed up to the top. Luckily, I think, well, actually, Micus had to come in, so he must have got some damage. Yeah, he hit the wall really hard. Did not bring out the yellow as Micus kept the car going straight, and Mahan spun off so that we stay under green. Now here comes Kinsella. We talked about him coming and coming and coming. He's there now, Adam.
He is right there. Yazik did not have enough time to take advantage of that clean air back behind, now that they passed James Krahula, the lap vehicle. Of course, he was involved in that accident a little while ago with Chris Stouffer, but now Kinsella, never mind any of that. He is really charging hard and going down low.
I apologize. You can see that we're having technical difficulties. We'll take a break. We'll be back really fast. back. We got our technical issues solved. We're under yellow right now here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Joe Flanagan and Justin Weaver got together, brought out the yellow flag. It happened right in front of Vincent Blumenthal. Those cars pull off. The rest of the cars come in for into pit lane. At the time of the yellow flag, Andrew Kinsella had gotten back out in front as him and Brian Yazik were swapping positions. They come in now. Everybody should be coming in for a stop. And with that, the pit cycle is done.
Oh, Yazik spins it coming off pit road.
Oh, right in front of Big Joe Hazard, who makes the move around. Yazik falls back into about 8th position right now.
That could have been very bad very quickly for a lot of guys.
Now, we have a few more technical gremlins to work out, so we're going to take another break. Don't go far. We'll be back before we go green.
The Sim Pit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The Sim Pit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for The Sim Pit.
Welcome back to the first Medical Equipment 200 from Homestead-Miami Speedway, the 100th GSRC broadcast of a Lionheart IndyCar Series event. And Adam, what about this? We saw Yazik spin out of pit lane. He fell back to 9th, but iRacing was kind.
Yeah, really kind. It gave him his spots back, so he's going to start in 2nd. But I think what that's going to mean is that we're going to see a very, very nice battle redevelop here between Kinsella and Yazik here. This is going to be an exciting last stint of the race to watch.
Pace car is in. There they go. You ever watched Blues Brothers where Belushi and Aykroyd say they got the full tank of gas and a half a pack of cigarettes and it's so far to Chicago? Hit it? Well, that's where we are right now. Everybody has enough fuel to go the distance. Brian Yazik's not going to fool around in 2nd. He dives that HPP machine down low underneath Kinsella.
Oh, and Tawana Christopher in it behind him. Oh, big accident. Christopher back on his lid. Rumbling, tumbling, fumbling down the front stretch.
Stouffer got into the back.
Oh, who's that other car that's up there?
Got into the back of Ed King Tutwiler, then went for a wild ride.
It was Isaiah Dupree was the other car. Oh, lots of cars going to come away with damage from this one, Soup.
That is just too bad. Look at that. There we have.
And I'm just thinking, you're bringing up Blues Brothers, and I'm just thinking, oh, let's not have a recreation of the police car scene.
That kind of looked like it did.
What happened?
Well, we didn't get to go far as we come back live. Well, we were talking with Richie Hearn during the break, whether you come in for a stop or not. And I was thinking the real question was, what happens if you have a yellow flag, Richie, 10 or 15 laps from now? Obviously, nobody's going to come in right now.
No, it's way too early for that. Obviously, these guys are going to race hard, so probably count on a couple other cautions, and track position is going to be everything.
Adam, we saw what happened when Yazik was back there one time with fresh tires. He was able to come through a little bit, but he didn't smoke the field. That was about 10 lap fresher tires, and then he saw Ian Adams and Dan Guerin. They got back there. They've never been able to make it up. Dan Guerin's still in 8th. You got to be real careful coming in for tires and losing track position.
Yeah, track position is going to be just so big here in the later stages of this race. It very well could lead to a very difficult decision for somebody, or, well, in some case, somebody's mind, maybe a very easy decision. I just know that we're sitting here, we're right at the edge of just something, and I'm going to go back to what I said earlier, that Homestead's not big on that list of closest finishes, and after what we've seen the last couple of laps, well, I think we could see a very close finish.
Let's go ahead and talk about Ed King Tutwiler. We're going to try to go on board with one of our onboard cameras today in the first medical equipment onboard. Ed currently back in, what's that be, about 28th position? Is that what that's showing there? Back a little bit as he qualified farther up. There we go. Looking at Ed. Ed actually qualified in 29th. Currently racing in 29th, so Ed doing okay.
Had himself a really good run up and right up until that accident there. I mean, he was going for third, and, well, we saw what happened.
Lights are still on the pace cars. Let's run down your field a little bit, talk about some of these drivers while we have a chance. Andrew Kinsella, my goodness, qualified 19th, but he's been fast. That qualifying time really not indicative of how fast he's racing. Not the case for Brian Yazik. He was on the outside of the front row, racing in that same position right now in second. Big Joe Hazard, my goodness, 31st to 3rd. Brandon Limkeman, 32nd to 4th. Both those guys have been following each other through the field. George Anzaldo having a good run. Joe Branch in 6th. Adam, the guy in 7th, we've been watching in that beautiful painted machine. He's even got GSRC on one of the side pods there. Talking about Dylan McKenna.
Yeah, and unfortunately, he's also one of the cars that took some damage in that last accident. He's going to have to try to get through the rest of the way without a right front wing, which I guess now it's a good thing that most of the downforce is produced by the underside of the car.
And then we get to the drivers that we saw early on that lost track position because the yellow caught him out. Dan Guerin in 8th. He is fast. He's your pole sitter, but he's got 6 cars to get around before he gets to the leader. Tony Schowen we saw running up front. You know, Ken Hacker was racing up there for a while. Michael Goodman in 11th. How about Ian Adams? He was racing up front, had the lead for a few laps. He's stuck back in 12th. That's why I worry about coming in for tires. Pace car working through 3. Single file restart. Now, just to clarify, if the yellow comes out, and certainly you're at the back of the lead lap, you're going to come in for sure. The question will be, how far from the back of the lead lap can you afford to come in and take a pit stop? Well, let's hope we don't have to find out. Let's hope we go green for these final 29 laps. Pace car is in. Andrew Kinsella puts the skinny pedal down, and off he goes, leading the cars down into turn 1. Yazik, Big Joe Hazard, Brandon Lickerman, and George Anzaldo, your top 5. Oh my, I think Kinsella might have two bunch of leads. They're coming on both sides of you.
Oh, look at Big Joe Hasser getting involved. Andrew Kinsella's going to drift wide, and I think it might open the door for Brandon Limpkeman as now George Anzaldo really making that play. Big Joe Hasser's going to kind of fall to the back of that line just a touch, although Joe Branch is back there as well. I haven't talked much about Joe Branch here tonight, that Haviland 28 machine.
Limpkeman had it up to third, almost drifted up into another car. The dive down from Kinsella. Kinsella now takes the lead. Yazik fighting back. Who will get credit across the line? That's the kind of finish that Adam Young was talking about.
That I want to see.
Thousandths of a second. Oh, my. Limpkeman and Zaldo back in that second pack of cars. Joe Branch, careful, boys. You got to be careful not to let the two leaders get away. Yazik gets credit with leading that lap and keeps the car down low. You can see the next pack coming through. Now a run again. Yazik hugging the inside like a tight pair of Fruit of the Looms. Will not let Kinsella get underneath him. Down into one. That battle up front is good news, Adam, for Brandon Limpkeman. I think if they go too wide, he's starting to run them down.
I was just saying that Limpkeman had broken free of those guys, and now he really wants to see them go front too wide the rest of the way.
On board with the first medical equipment camera. Looking back at the guys he's trying to leave behind. That's Anzaldo and Branch. Up front, we have another challenge as they go Cialis bathtubs down into three.
Back straight away, yellow flag on the speedway.
Adam Blocker. We'll look at this one as Adam Blocker gets the worst of it.
It looked like Dylan McKenna just drifted high, and that was going to be all she wrote, as Adam Blocker just gets his car all tore up.
Michael Goodman got a piece of it.
Goodman's going to have a face full here.
He might have ghost contact right through this one. Let's see.
Oh, I don't think it was ghost contact on Adam Blocker's part. That ripped off the rear end of his car.
Yep. Okay, well, that was not quite as far as we wanted, but some of the drivers in the back could bite now. The guys at the back of the lead lap, there's nothing lost if you come in. Guys like, Blocker will have damage.
Yeah, this is the decision point that we were talking about with Richie and our between ourselves here earlier on. Is that what do you do with 20 to go? Well, I think we just got our answer.
Most of the guys up front stay out. Jason Galvin comes in. It looks like no, he did not. Looks like the top hitter was Rory Collins, but he was well back, racing about 26th. A lot of the guys in the back come in. Nobody up front is going to risk it. "21 laps to go. You're watching the Global SimRacing Channel's coverage of the Lionheart IndyCar Series, the opening round for Season 6. The debut race for the IR-18s. They put on a pretty good show. Right now, Andrew Kinsella really happy with the car as he sticks out in front, but he's got his hands full. Brian Yazik is not going to make it easy. Brandon Limpkeman, before that caution, was really on the move. He was coming up as those guys were jockeying up in front of him. Limpkeman started in 32nd, was thinking, I can get from 32nd to the lead.
Yeah, the catch is going to be is that with this much time going to be left in the race, once we get the green flag, Limpkeman did not get the greatest restart that last time around. He's going to have to do a much better job about making sure he's staying right underneath the rear wing of Yazik here.
In case you're wondering, if you missed our intro where we talked about the series details, this is big boy racing. No fast repairs here in the Lionheart series. Dan Weldon wouldn't have it any other way. Kinsella, Yazik, Limkeman, George and Zaldo. Limkeman and Zaldo having great runs. Joe Branch. Dan Guerin sits in 8th position. He is your pole sitter, probably the class of the field. Talk about being mired back in the pack. Dan Guerin and Ian Adams. Lights stay on the pace cars. We're going to go around one more time. You can hear some of the engines start to rev in the background there. That is the wave arounds for everybody who got them. And the lights go off. Okay, Adam. You know these guys. Andrew Kinsella, Brian Yazik. The betting window's still open. Who do you like?
I really like Yazik's chances here. I just think that he's shown what it takes to be up front and stay up front.
Richie Hearn, you got a copy?
Yeah, I'm here, and I totally agree with Adam on that. I've been watching him all night long, Brian, and I think he's going to be there at the end. I mean, he's been running strong, making the good moves. Yellow flags have worked out in favor of Andrew, but I think Brian's going to finish out strong.
Got a little bit of time before we go green. Richie, where do you want to be on the last lap? You want to be leading coming off of 4, or do you want to get the slingshot?
I don't think there's much of a slingshot off of 4, so I think you got to make the pass coming out of 1 and 2 and just make that car as wide as possible.
There you have it from somebody who's done it for real. The pace car is in. It's all in Andrew Kinsella's hands now, or in his right foot, to put it more properly. He's on the gas. That's what Adam Young talked about. A good jump. Gotta wonder, Adam, if maybe he got too good a jump. Here comes Yazik and Limkeman.
And, that's not the first time we've seen that big of a jump out of those guys, and they'll be back on him by the time they get into 3. In fact, here comes the field as Yazik's going to get a good, strong look inside.
And Zaldo was really loose, and they did checks up, and finally we lose 2 cars. It was all an accordion effect. Cartwheeling down the track is Dandy Dan Guerin. Oh, finally the car runs out of momentum on the inside grass of the back straight. Of the front straight. Boy, that went on for a while.
Man, and he has worked his tail off to get back into the top 10, only have it end like that.
And there you see. Oh, boy.
Was that Sam Ryman that got a piece of him while he was tumbling?
I don't know, but Mary Lou Redden would be proud of that maneuver. We'll watch it from George. This was a checkup that happened early on, and it just kept backing up, and poor Guerin was the guy who just finally was the end of the train. And boy, that's beautiful. With no momentum lost on these cars, they'll bounce for a while. I've been told that the death spiral has survived in these new cars. I was hoping we'd lose that one, but from what I'm hearing, there's hopes of seeing one of those as well.
And Soup, if we see one tonight, I'm going to come knocking on your door. I'm just telling you.
Well, there's another yellow flag, and again, I don't think we're going to see any takers. Nope, everyone's going to stay out. So they lose a few big names down there. Dan Guerin involved in that one. He certainly had the car to win. That's what happens in racing. Sit on the pole. Dan Guerin's going to come home well down the order. 31st, no better than that. But what has changed is Brian Yazik, who was sitting in 2nd position before we went green last time, was able to get around Andrew Kinsella, iRacing credits him with being the leader. So the pace car is going to take us around 2 more miles here. Oh, sorry, 1.5 miles.
Well, I'll say this, Soup. You know, for the cautions that we've had here tonight, and and being speedway racing and Indy cars, and multi-car accidents almost kind of being the norm, we're still running out there right now with 28 cars on the lead lap out of a field of 43 that started. So that's pretty incredible right there.
And sitting back in third, our hard charger, Brandon Limpkeman, qualified 32nd. You do the math. 29 positions gained. We're hoping you're enjoying this broadcast. Let's see if we can go green from here. The lights are still on. The pace car will go around one more time as it goes into 3. We've heard Adam Young pick Brian Yosek as the winner. We've heard Richie Hearn pick Brian Yosek as the winner, so you may be asking, who do I like? Well, Andrew Kinsella won here in his debut race in the Lionheart Series 1 year ago. He knows how to win here. Let's see if Andrew Kinsella can get the win tonight.
Well, I'll say this, okay, with Andrew Kinsella, he, last year in the Retro Series, you got to remember, I always go back to the Retro Series because that's what I called a lot last year. He ran the car that I always called Miss Budweiser because it really looks almost like one of those Top Fuel hydroplane racers on those Lotus 79 with the red and the Budweiser on the side. If he was running his red car tonight here, maybe I would have picked him. Just saying, but I'm going to go with Yosek.
Kinsella out there used to race in the Cool machine, used for Cool cigarettes. Not doing that one this year. Looking at it as the same colors, but I don't see Cool on the car as I talk in my ear with my director. Looks like he's racing the Adrenaline Racing paint scheme right now. Colors are cool though. Well, I'd like to thank Adam Young for sitting in with me here tonight because my regular partner, Sean Crackers Ambrose, is moving in to Casa de Crackers in Texas somewhere. He'll be back here with us next round. But since he's not here, and with about 14 laps to go, I know what Crackers would say. Get that mirrored ball spinning, boys and girls, because it's time to boogie. Let's get this party started. 13 laps of racing to go. Brian Yosek on the throttle leading the way. Andrew Kinsella in second. Once again, a great run out of 2 for the guys chasing the leader. Look at Kinsella or Yosek guard the inside.
Oh, that's going to be tough, though. Kinsella's great at getting that outside run, and Joe Branch is going to try to make himself known here. He's going to take this thing 3 wide going down the front stretch.
Might be Branch's best chance. Do it now. He's trying to make it stick on the inside. The car drifts up a little bit. Branch does a great job of keeping the car tight to the inside. If you can keep that nose in there, don't let Yosek come down and get his preferred line on the inside. He does, but unfortunately, Branch just doesn't have the car that can get a run off.
Well, what about Branch trying to play the spoiler here? We've hardly talked about him all night, and he's right up there in the mix.
I'm not sure if Yosek is going to be able to guard them both. They're coming too wide this time. In the stealer wheel position, it is Joe Branch. The joker is Yosek. The clown is Kinsella. Once again, Yosek leads them across the line. 11 to go, 10 to go. They continue to fight for second. Look at the run this time from Branch. But again, covering the inside like wall-to-wall carpet is Brian Yosek. A good run from Kinsella. I think Richie Hearn made a good point that it's going to be hard to get a pass done out of 4. The pass is going to be done into 1, finished on 2. Kinsella with momentum out of 2 that time. Yosek in the blue car. Up top, it's Kinsella. I think Kinsella's going to lead this lap. He does, and he gets first position all to himself.
Jozik's going to come right back here. Soup, I'm anticipating. I've already got the list of closest finishes up to see where this one's going to compare once we get done with this thing.
It might be a photo finish because Joe Branch would like to get in this one as well. And if these guys continue to fight up on top, it could open the door for Branch from third. Here they come across. They are nose to nose, and it's going to be Kinsella that time. 34 hundredths of a second. They continue to race side by side, making a big hole for Branch if he can get up there. Kinsella not protecting the inside. He's going to leave that to Jozik.
I think Kinsella just knows he's strong up there, and if he keeps going like this, he might just have it. But it's coming down here to 6 laps to go. This is Jozik might have to start worrying about tires, too. You're starting to see him, too, on the back straightaway when he has a little bit of an opportunity, slipping back up behind Kinsella as well. You'll see him do it right here. Nope, almost. But a great view right now there out of Ian Adams' roll bar. As he drifts high, he's in the wall just a touch.
They stay green. He's going to lose a lot of momentum. It's been a long time since Ian Adams was up there. Remember, he was racing with Dan Guerin. He fell back. It's taken him this entire race to get back up there. He's got room as they continue to race too wide in front of him. Unfortunately, putting it in the wall is not going to help the car be fast. Jozik continues to stay down low. Kinsella continues to work the top side. Coming off, they're really close. And one more time, Kinsella wins that lap as well.
Limkeman just got a big run behind them, though. He's trying to close the gap, but I think he's going to run out of time.
They are to the point of no return now. If a yellow comes out, this race is going to finish with who's ever out in front. Kinsella continues to hold the top side, leaving room for Jozik. Oh, this is the first time Jozik is actually well behind as they come across the line. Did he use up his rubber? Now Kinsella has to decide, do I guard the top or do I protect the bottom?
Here's what Jozik is doing. He realizes he ain't going to be able to beat him like that, so he just backed off of him, tried to give himself room to get a run, and look, he changed his line. He's trying to go to the high side now. He's throwing everything he has at that car. We'll see if it does him anything, but 3 laps to go here. Kinsella has himself a halfway decent lead. 2 to go.
Limkeman has second position as they continue. Oh, there's a spin.
He saves it.
What a save. Maybe we'll look at that one when the race is over. But right now, that is not good news for Andrew Kinsella. He would have been the winner. As he comes around turner number 4, he's just got to hold up.
I think Jozik is too far back here, Soup. I think Kinsella, if he can put himself together a clean lap, I think he's going to have this.
Through 1. The exit of 2, Kinsella takes it right down the middle. Jozik needs the run of all runs, but he's not going to get there. Going into 3, Andrew Kinsella, he won here in his very first race in the Lionheart IndyCar Series to open season 5. He wins again to open season 6. Andrew Kinsella is your winner. Brian Jozik gets second. Brandon Limkeman with a great run, 32nd to 3rd, rounds out your podium. Joe Branch, Ian Adams. We're going to go back and look at the save that let us finish under green. This involves Ian Adams. Adams actually might have been a little ghost contact with Brandon Limkeman. The car gets so loose. We'll ride on board with the driver who finished 5th, Ian Adams. You just don't see these cars get just sideways. And he saves it. And that allowed us to finish under green. Andrew Kinsella holds off Brian Jozik for the win. The racing is over here at Homestead-Miami Speedway, but our broadcast is far from done. We'll take a short break. We'll be back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put our first lock on the gate for Season 6. Back in a few.
SimPit is an entertainment channel dedicated to the world of simulated motorsports. The SimPit is a leader in providing the sim racing community with news, reviews, interviews, DIY pieces, and instructional videos to make sim racing a better experience for all. Check us out at thesimpit.com or go to YouTube and just search for the SimPit.
Welcome back to the First Medical Equipment 200 and the Plasma Tracks Victory Lane post-race show. If you're struggling to find something for the person who has everything, do I have the website for you? Plasma-tracks.com not only produces original racetrack wall art, motorsports trophies, home decor, and motorsports fabrications are also available. Words cannot do justice to the uniqueness of their wares. Not only, in fact, the only way to fully appreciate their artwork is to see it for yourself. But be warned, one visit, and the next thing you know, you'll be trying to convince your spouse why you need a Plasma Tracks wall art hanging in your home. See it all at plasma-tracks.com. Use this promotional code LRS 2018 to get 25% off your order. And now let's bring you 100% of the HPP finishing order for the race that just concluded here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Andrew Kinsella got to the lead, protected the outside. Brian Yazik tried as he might from underneath, used up his tires, could not get the pass, made Kinsella gets the win. Yazik gets second. Brandon Lipkeman 32nd to third. What a run from him. Joe Branch and Ian Adams round out your top five. The back half of your top 10, Jason Galvin, did not hear much from him. George Anzaldo. Ken Hacker ran up front early. He's going to come home in 8th position. Big Joe Hassard and Pierre Neidendegla round out your top 10. Adam?
Yeah, coming home in 11th, we'll find Vincent Blumenthal being able to take some contact and be able to still come home just outside the top 10. Scott Bolster in 12th. Scott Johnson in 13th position. Ron Hacker coming home in 14th. Bart Workman in 15th. Ryan Greenlee in 16th position. Mitch Fuller in 17th. Our very own Samuel Ryman coming home in 18th. 19th, Marcel John and Chris Lanini in 20th.
6 cars left on the lead lap, starting with the blackjack position. Matthew Mercer, Rory Collins after that. Michael Goodman, Robert Bluen in 24th, 25th and 26th, James Grahula and Ed King Tutweller. Then we get to the cars that were 1 lap down. Dylan McKenna, boy, he was fun to watch for a while, but he got caught up in an incident, finishes back in 27th. Brian Beard, Jack Bowden, and David Courtney in 30th. Adam?
Yeah, 31st position here tonight is going to belong to Peter Edwins. Adam Blocker in 32nd position. We saw his accident there. Tony Schuin in 33rd. Dan Guerin in 34th. What a heartbreaker there. Coming back into the top 10. Unfortunately, accident takes him out. Asea Dupre in 35th. 36th, Chris Stouffer. 37th, Dustin Wardlow. Justin Weaver in 38th, 39th, Joe Flanagan and Woody Mahan in 40th position. Soup, I'll go ahead and round it out here. Bob Mikas coming home in 41st, Jason Robarge in 42nd, and Michael Gray coming home in 43rd.
And I've got a hold of our race winner. It is Andrew Kinsella. Andrew, congratulations. Boy, Yazik was protecting the low line, made you pass him on top, and then once you got there, you were protecting the top line, making him pass you low.
Yeah, I was a little bit actually surprised that Brian was giving me the high side. When I was trying to get to him in the lead, when he was leading there, George held the high side for about 20 laps, so I sort of learned my lesson that the high side was where you wanted to be as soon as the tires started to go away a little bit. So I was perfectly fine with taking the high side there. But man, I love Homestead, and hats off to Brian. That was just fantastic racing. I hope you guys enjoyed it, because that was wheel to wheel for the last 20 laps. Basically, it was absolutely fantastic racing him there.
Let's get to the pit strategy at the very end. You had enough gas to go to the end. Passing so difficult. I got to assume that after that last stop, you say, okay, I'm good to go. It doesn't matter. I'm not coming in again, no matter when the yellow flag comes out.
Yeah, that was basically it. There was about a 5-lap window where we said we might go in if we wanted to, with about 15:10 to go, but yellow didn't come out there. So fortunately, we didn't have to deal with low fuel, new tires there. So yeah, we had the right fuel strategy. I think when we went in early, it allowed us to short fill on both of our stops. So I was able to reel in Brian on that second stint. If that yellow hadn't come out to break up that long green flag run, then I think we would have been good either way. So yeah, it was a great strategy on the part of the whole Adrenaline Motorsports. Unfortunately, we had some really strong guys get taken out, but yeah, it was a great finish. And yeah, I love Homestead. This is one of my favorite racetracks on the sim, and I guess you guys can tell why.
Yeah, well, you started here last season. You got your opening race for Lionheart. You got the win here. You held the lead early on last season in the point standings. This time you don't got that awful Jake Wright to deal with. Maybe a championship for Andrew Kinsella this time. Rookie of the year, followed by a championship.
I mean, that's the goal, absolutely. Third in the championship last year, so I just got 2 more places to get up, and hopefully I can do that this season. But absolutely, this is a great way to start. And before I go, I got to thank my girlfriend. She is an absolutely wonderful person, because this is her birthday. So I had to actually cut short our date night, and she allowed me to race. And so she is an absolutely wonderful human being, and this win is dedicated to her.
All right. If you want to risk it before you go, what's her name?
Sophia Eidseth.
Sophia. All right. Well, I'll write that one down, and that's going to be something I can mention for the rest of the season. Sophia, pay attention. Andrew Kinsella, your winner today, on the way to his first championship. All right, who do we got next, guys?
We'll go ahead and get in Brian Yazik finishing second here for tonight. And Soup, obviously, Brian had himself a good run going. Hey, and we got him now in the booth. Brian, hey, we were kind of theorizing what kind of happened to you there in the last about 10 laps or so of the race. But why don't you tell us about it in your own words?
It was real simple. I just burned my crap up on the bottom. I mean, I know better, and I know better. But, I keep making these rookie mistakes, and I'm not going to win. And that's just the front and the blunt of it. I mean, in all honesty, I knew that the top was the way to be. I knew that all last week. I knew that's in the practice race, and I completely just put blinders on and cost myself a win. So, yeah, so that's pretty much that.
Well, I got to say, man, you sound pretty downtrodden for coming home in second. But overall, though, I mean, still a great race for you. I think the big black mark on your race that I want to hear about personally is when you spun it off pit road. What happened there?
Rookie mistake. I saw Kinsella coming off a pit road, and I tried to get everything I could get, and I didn't shift into second, so it didn't spin the tires. Because once this car hits that torque band, you're, especially at that low of a speed to kind of grunt out of pit road, it'll send you for a loop. And that's exactly what it did. And I was lucky that we were kind of far enough ahead that I was able to whip a quick ditty and cut her back going straight. So that was that was interesting.
Well, hey, man, one question, too, I want to ask you, because you kind of had the experience of running in the middle part of the field and also at the front of the field. One of the things we were talking about up here tonight was the difference in the aero push between the DW12 and the new IR18. What did you experience? Is it better? Is it as good as everybody's saying it is now?
It's the same. And I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but it's almost the same. I mean, if you get kind of tucked back behind somebody, it'll still wash you out. Now, if what the IR18 gives you that the DW12 didn't is you could run maybe a lane up or a lane down and maybe, put up a better fight, or it doesn't wash out as bad. And then the way that this draft model is, you can really, kind of get back up there. But, it's not the great white hope that I'd wished it had been, but it is what it is. It's a great car to look at. It's fun to drive. And I'll tell you what, this HPP simulation, Loud Pedal Motorsports, Ford IndyCar, we finished P2. We're getting the season started off right. We tied Dan for the pole, so I got to go back because we all broke the track record. I think the track record was like a flat from last year, and I think 1 through like 35th did that. So because I tied Dan, I think we get to share that record. So I gotta bark up the tree on that one just to see how that one shakes out. But no, I know I'm feeling I'm sounding down on myself for finishing second. It's just lead the most laps and get that middle run going, and a couple of things just didn't go our way. But it's mostly on me and the big lunk between my ears that's kind of stopping me at this point. So once I get a little bit smarter in these cars, we're gonna be set. But like I said, HPP simulation. Clipping that Apex, Loud Pedal Motorsports, everybody second for LPM in their debut here in the as the new boys on the block. We'll take that. Some of my other teammates didn't have a great night, but we'll rebound and we'll get them down the road at Phoenix.
There you have it, Brian Yazik, your second place finisher. We have another Brandon. We'll bring in our third place finisher, Brandon Limpkeman. Boy, he's not a back marker, but when you start 32nd, we'll teach you the secret handshake so we can rejoice in your success. Congratulations on a great one today, Brandon. Oh, and I'm sorry, and I guess we don't have Brandon here, so I guess that's it. So with that, we'll try. We have Ian Adams, who was up there for a while. We'll give Ian a shot. Those back markers that just don't know, they don't get interviewed that often. Ian, do you have a copy?
I got you, Soup.
You were up front for a while. I was worried about you. You were well back there. You and Dan stuck back once you got caught out on that pit stop. Boy, you had a hard time getting through the field.
Yeah, we got that caution came out right at the worst time, and I figured we were going to have another repeat of the good old script of caution comes out, I get sent to the back, and then we just got a ride for the rest of the race. But luckily, the car was feeling good. We were able to work our way back forward, and hate it for Dan that he got caught up in that, but just glad to be up there at the front by the end of that thing. You
were racing up front with Dan Guerin. Did you have anything for the two guys in front of you at the end?
I really thought I did. We had Branch and Brandon there for a second, and I thought we were going to have something for that for the front two, but it just started to push in 1 and 2 like you wouldn't believe. And then once I was up in the wall, it was all over, and then we started driving like crazy, trying to catch back up. And me and Brandon touched there, and that's when I said, "Okay, we're going to settle for a top 5 and not a wrecked car."
Well, if you're going to win yourself a championship, that's the way you're going to do it. Congratulations on a podium finish today. It was looking good, it was looking bad, and it ends up a pretty good day.
It was better than I expected to, Soup. Just like to give a shout out real quick to my girlfriend for watching the whole time, both my parents and the guys over at No Lift this year instead of Nailed It. Michael Gray, we brought Dylan McKenna in, and Jesse's still tagging in here and there. So shout out to all those guys.
All right, guys, this is the second time I've done that. If you're going to shout out to your girlfriend, you got to give me the name. What's her name?
Name is Maddie.
Maddie, okay. Glad to see Maddie's watching. Good job. We'll watch you the rest of the way. That's Ian Adams, your third place finisher today. Okay. Man, These guys need girlfriend lessons 101. Give the girlfriend's name if you're going to shout it out. She wants to hear it on television, on the computer. That's it for us here. Let's get thanks to the people that makes this possible. We'll start off with the guys who've been around forever. First Medical Equipment. They've been the source of medical supplies and equipment in Burlington, Iowa area for years because of their superior commitment to provide the absolute best in product quality and customer service. Okay, Adam, it's your turn.
Yeah, Butt Kicker Products. They're going to add instant immersion to any game. Unlike a subwoofer that just moves air and loses accuracy and force, Butt Kicker Products move actual mass, producing a haptic immersion that's powerful and accurate.
Cool.
Butt Kicker Products add that missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism and immersion to your sessions. See all the family of products at thebuttkicker.com. Use promo code 20LION, that's 20LION. Oh man, I can't talk. To get 20% off your order.
Yeah, those are harder to read than you think. TheSimPit.com, an entertainment channel dedicated to sim racing. Check it out on TheSimPit.com. To contact any of the sponsors, and there's a lot of them, we're not going to go through them all. We'd be here all night. What you want to do is go to the Lionheart Series.com and click on the 2018 sponsor. Read or scroll down to the bottom, and then you can click on the company logo there, okay? Because we have a collection of all of those guys, you can see on the screen right there. There they all are. Now, also on the screen now, coming up in just a minute, are going to be the companies and equipment and software that made this broadcast possible. The iconic music that lets your ears alert your eyes you're watching a GSRC production comes courtesy of Eric Eckelm and Casey Lalonde. There you go. See their pictures down. Look at Casey, looks so cute. Oh, that's Eric. Eric's a good-looking guy. See the screen for how to contact each of them. I'm getting a little loopy, Adam. Get us out of here.
Yeah, the Lionheart IndyCar Series is going to return in 1 week. You can hear Soup get loopy again April 4th for round 2 from Phoenix. GSRC is going to be there, and we'll bring you all the action. We hope you join us. Sliding across your screen now are some other upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find them all at www.globalsimracingchannel.com. We're also on Twitter at GSR Channel and Facebook at /Global Sim Racing Channel.
Finally, on the man whose voice you just heard, Joe Peak. Nope. Somebody's got to update the script. Let's try this again. Finally, on the man whose voice you just heard, I will put in the actual name.
Give him anything on the prompter, he will read it, folks.
I will just read it. Oh, jeez, let us out of here. Our director, Amjad Yaman, and our camera artist, Dougie Beard. Don't forget about the man that I'm awestruck to be working with, and that is the one and only Richie Hearns. I'd like to thank all of you for watching. This is the last sentence, guys. One more and we're done. With that said, we're off to have fun, storm of the castle. So until next week, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.